The Longevity Lounge is proudly brought to you by AIA Australia, dedicated to helping Australians live healthier, longer, better lives.
Welcome to the Longevity Lounge, a podcast, a club, and an event series that seeks to uncover some of the secrets to living well and feeling younger longer. Every episode we interview a longevity legend or a health expert, from neuroscientists through to exercise physiologists, as we investigate and try to make sense of the emerging science behind longevity. I'm Karl Treacher. I'm an adjunct associate professor of social science, and I'm joined by my co-host and co-founder of the Longevity Lounge, former world Ironman champion Guy Leech. At the age of 20, our next guest was already ranked 6th in the world. The one and only Layne Beachley became the women's ASP world champion in 1998 and won consecutive titles from 1999 through to 2003 and then again in 2006. She's the first woman in history to win 7 world championships and the only surfer, male or female, to win 6 consecutive titles. Let's jump into the incredible world that is Layne Beachley.
Great intro, Carlos. Now, I can't call you Layne because I've never called you Layne ever in my life.
No,
it's been Gidge, which is short for Gidget.
Mm-hmm. Girl midget.
And I think, just so everyone knows, so everyone knows, we've known each other a long time.
We have, yes.
We met back surf shop days when you walked in as a
13-year-old, I think. 13-year-old. Yeah, that's actually, it was about 13 because that's when I was thinking about progressing from a foamy to a fiberglass surfboard.
I think from memory you walked into the shop because you wanted to leave your board in the shop maybe?
Well, I was looking for a job.
That's right, you were too. You worked with me.
I did. Well, I worked on you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I had to massage your shoulders. That was part of my role.
It was.
On
we
Sundays.
used to do the Sunday shift, you and I, didn't we?
Well, the one day a week you'd show up to the shop.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was busy.
I know, you're busy being an Ironman.
I was. You were there on a Sunday.
And then because I wasn't being paid, I thought part of the rent could be leaving my board out the back because I lived in Balgala Heights, so I had to catch a bus to the beach or ride my bike.
Yeah.
And it was very inconvenient dragging a board with me. So I think you and Doug Lee's allowed me to store my board out the back.
That's right. And that's where we first met.
Yes, at the shop.
At the
Strange
shop.
Surfer
And
HQ,
you were already
Gidget.
called Gidget.
I was.
By the lifeguards at Manly.
Yeah, I think by the time I was 5, I was called Gidget. And I actually think I created an identity crisis with my family because everyone was related to Gidget. So my brother became Gidget's brother and my dad became Gidget's dad. So no one had a name anymore.
That's right. And the irony is that we know, and mate, you're very, very famous, and we know that you were adopted and you're adopted into a family with last name Beachley, which is so ironic.
I think fortuitous more so.
Yeah. And your dad, who I grew up with at the surf club, great bloke.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were around the scene from a very young age.
Yeah, I was, but I never really joined that whole lifeguard or surf club scene. I was just such a frothing surfer. You know, from the age of 4, I started surfing. Age of 5, paddling out the back on my own, and just graduated my way up Manly Beach to become world champion one day. But I look at Manly Beach as kind of like a graduation because in that southern corner at Manly is where most surfers hone their craft, and especially on the eastern seaboard.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's like going to
Kiddies
elementary
corner.
school.
Yeah.
And then you go to primary school.
And then I think it's year 7 in the corner.
Yep.
And then year 8 in front of the Corso. And then year 9 at the first pipe. And then year 10 on the other side of the pipe. Then year 11 at Northstone. And then year 12 at Queenscliff.
And what's Bommy? Is that university?
Bommy. Yeah.
Okay, so for our listeners that don't live in Manly,
yes,
and actually,
all 5 of them.
We'll wind the clock back a little bit too. So, Layne, you mentioned you started surfing and pretty seriously early on. I can't imagine that it was a really female-dominated sport. I mean,
It never has been.
No, and so you would have had to. What was it in you that drove that desire?
I obviously was born with a pretty competitive spirit, but I grew up in a male-dominated household. My mother, who adopted me, died when I was 6 years of age, or 7 actually. And so I've always found comfort and solace around boys and men. I've found that tribe to be a place of safety. And look, growing up and surfing at Manly, which is the most appropriately named beach in the world, still is.
True.
It was quite hostile, threatening and intimidating at times, but there were always guys in the water who were supportive, like Leechy and a lot of other people.
And the lifeguards and Dougie that we grew up with.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys out there who were supportive, encouraging. So I think it's just became a natural environment for me to evolve through and thrive in. And it's something that when I did start surfing, I didn't identify it as a male-dominated environment. I just identified it as an environment that I desired to belong to, and just had to find my way and navigate my way into, and then find a place where I could feel comfortable. The thing about the ocean for me, more so than the lineup or professional surfing or any of those other things, is that surfing and the ocean is a place of solace for me. It's where I heal my hurts. It's where I process my pains. It's where I celebrate my successes. It's the one place I retreat to. So I didn't allow the hostility and the threats and the intimidation to determine whether I was allowed there. I actually just chose to keep going. And I also feel the competitive spirit that I have, the quick wit that I have.
You're definitely competitive, and I've been on the back end of your wit many a time. Not long ago at my 60th, to be fair.
Well, you asked me to speak.
I did.
I can't believe you did. But
I know it was a mistake. I know.
Well, I was surprised I got a call up after your 50th.
So, Layne, we've had a couple of other longevity legends on the show, people that have honed their craft, been world beaters like yourself, maybe not to the level that you've achieved, but pretty close. They don't talk about, I love surfing and I love the board and I like waves. It's a spiritual endeavour. There's something much bigger than the actual sport itself.
Yes.
Has that maintained its position in your life?
100%.
All the way through?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Yeah, because as you find most athletes when they retire, they don't ever really want to participate in their sport again.
Well, swimming's not as much fun as surfing.
No. Or paddle. Well, you still paddle.
I do. No, paddling's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't swim.
Yeah. No. And so surfing is still my number one passion. It's the one thing that I always make the time for. It's the one thing I'm always thinking about. Where can I schedule that into my diary? I schedule my actual life by the surf forecast.
You were just surfing before you came in here.
I was late here because
Only
I chose to surf.
Only by 5 minutes?
Yeah, I chose to surf for 2 hours instead of an hour and a half this morning,
Right.
which normally doesn't happen. Normally I have less than an hour to surf each day. But I'm making up for the fact I was in Melbourne yesterday, so I had to surf for twice the amount of time. But yes, to answer your question, I feel a sense of freedom when I enter the ocean. And it's a place that I can learn how to surrender. Like, I'm a self-confessed control freak. I've always feel like that. I'm always in control. And the minute I walk into the ocean, and it's a ritual too, just even thinking about when am I going to surf, it actually starts the endorphins and the excitement. And then I'm thinking about, okay, I've got to do some exercises and warm up my body before I go, because now in my 50s, I've hammered my body over the years as a professional athlete, and I'm paying the price for it now. So, things are a little bit slower, but just that whole ritual of, okay, I've got to make sure I've done my exercises, then putting on the wetsuit and then choosing which board and which fins and then running to the beach. It's like everyone sees me run past. I don't stop and say hello. I say hi as I run past, because every surfer's running to the water like their lives depend on it, because anything could happen in any moment. You might miss the wave of the day, the wind might come up, anything could happen. Yeah. And then anchoring my feet in the sand is the first grounding process, and then feeling the water on my skin is just that true essence of surrender and presence. And it's a real calming influence.
I love the fact that that you got into surfing when there was no chance at the time that you could make a living from it.
Yeah, true.
It was not a thing, right, for women to go and compete and make money. And we had Tom Karl on a while ago, and it was the same for him when he started. It was like he was right there at the start of that process of professionalism coming into surfing.
Yeah,
and
Tom was actually sponsored by Rip Curl and Quicksilver at the same time.
Wow.
Back in those days. One's with wetsuits, one's for clothes.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
it wouldn't happen
today. But unlike me, Tom is still sponsored.
And is that But is that do you look back and go, just, timing's an amazing thing, right?
Yeah.
I know in my career, I started doing Ironman before there was any money in it. And I did it because I loved it, right? Well, as you love surfing and you still do today.
You won 20 grand in gold, so there's a bit of cash in it for an 18-year-old.
That's right. You know the story.
Yeah.
I told you 27 times.
Do you guys know, listeners know, that Guy Leech is a world Ironman champion? He won the Coolangatta gold.
Just a quick test. Hands up who's been a world champion here. Sorry, Carlos. But you are a professor, sort of.
Pretend one.
Hands up if you're a professor.
There you go. You have your moment in the sun. But my question is, like, do you look back and go, geez, I was fortunate because I literally went and did something that I loved, and then I could do it as a job as well?
I don't look back and go. I don't look back and look at the timing and go, that was good timing. Considering today what the girls are paid and how they're remunerated and the opportunities they're given.
If Layne Beachley
and they have
2.0 is around now.
Yeah, I'd love that because we have an industry that supports us. We have a governing body that supports us. We have a sport that believes in us. We have male colleagues who are supportive and encouraging of us.
Yeah, you went through the tough times to get to today.
I paved the way.
You did.
My predecessors and my generation, we paved the way for the current generation.
It should be $1 in the kitty for Layne for every piece of surfing product that gets bought by a female in the world.
So it was a bit different back then, but I'm grateful for the time that I had. You know, I had a 19-year professional careach. Very few athletes have that.
I think that's a really good point to pick up on, that in terms of longevity and being younger longer, Leech, you competed for 15 years, something like that?
Yep.
19 years for you, Layne. We had Kerry Pottas on 22 years, I think it might have been. There's something there that speaks to that desire to not just to win, but to maintain that position. And I wonder, is it just intrinsic to your character and who you are that this is where you feel like this is where you belong, or is it a constant struggle?
Well, I was very intrinsically motivated. I wasn't extrinsically motivated. I didn't go into professional surfing for the money or the accolades. I went into it because upon reflection now, I was actually pursuing self-worth. That's what I was striving for, but I didn't realise that at the time. And that came from being told I was adopted as an 8-year-old. I had decided that I was unworthy of love, and the only way that I was going to be deserving of it is to become a world champion at something.
Wow.
I chose surfing.
Yep.
Surfing chose me, and then that's what every egg went into that basket. And after 5 years on tour, I came second, I came third, I came second.
I remember you had a long run of not winning.
Yeah.
Because I remember saying to you, just jump in, I remember saying to you at one stage, I watched you surfing out the front of the surf shop on a given day, and you were just killing it. I remember you coming in, and you might not remember this, but I said, keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be a world champion.
Yeah.
And the moments in time, right, that you remember, and I remember saying that to you, and but it took longer, I thought, than what it should have for you to become a world champion.
Yeah, and it's endorsement and support from people like you that kept me going, because there were times when I just wanted to quit and I wanted to give it up, and you were there. You were one of those catalysts that kept me going. It did take me a lot longer. It took me 8 years to win a world title. And I won my first world title at the same age Stephanie Gilmore won her 6th world title.
Wow.
So I was considered a veteran, over the hill, give it up, get on with it, go find yourself a real job.
Yeah.
And when I reflect back on that period, I feel that the one thing that kept me going, well, there was a variety of things that kept me going. First, I was on a relentless pursuit of success, but to achieve that, I had to be also on a relentless pursuit of improvement. And that meant surrounding myself with a dream team of people that were going to help me achieve that. So I trained with the experts. I trained with world champions. I surfed with world champions.
Together.
Yeah, I did everything I possibly could. But the one thing that kept getting in the way was my mind. I just kept getting in my own way. And once I shone a light on that, then I was able to shatter that self-limiting belief. But it took a long time for me to embrace that. I kept pointing the finger and laying the blame. I call myself a victim because it was everyone else's fault.
Yeah, right. I wonder if you're like 7 world titles is just, there's not many athletes in the world that can say they've won 7 world titles. I mean, it's just quite amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah, no
and I'm
problems.
the only surfer in the world that won 6 consecutively. So I reflect on that period and go, my goodness, that
just the
was
consistency
intense.
of just backing up every year. When particularly when you talk about surf and you can be out of rhythm in a tournament, in a contest. But so for me, and you touched on the fact that you felt like you weren't enough, and the drive was that drive to be a world champion. You thought that if you won a world title, that you'd feel better inside, right?
Yes.
Right? Mentally, you'd feel better about yourself, and you'd just create this persona that everyone would love, okay? Would you have won 7 world titles if you didn't have that strategy?
I'm often asked that question. Yes.
Right, interesting.
Yeah. So it's hard to answer definitively because I've won 7, 6 in a row, 5 in fear, 2 in love. So I can't answer definitively whether I would have won 7, but I can answer definitively that it wouldn't have been as much of a struggle.
Yeah.
Because I was invested in struggle. I was invested in
It's
things.
like the Rocky syndrome, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
you just, Rocky
Adrian!
didn't feel like he was enough, and then when he got comfortable, he just, he went the other way. I mean, it's a nice story, but there's something to be taken out of it.
Yeah, but I didn't get. It wasn't about being comfortable. It was actually trusting in the effortlessness of success. It was trusting in process. And so 1 and 7 are my love-based world titles because I duly followed process. It was about the process of being a better surfer, a better athlete, a better human being, a better competitor. Like, what are all those little 1%ers, all those little edges that I can gain?
You must have been happier in that state.
I was happier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
And
winning
then,
happily,
but then
right?
all of a sudden, from 1 to 2, I placed this relentless amount of expectation on myself to be better and to be worthy of the success that I desired for myself. So all of a sudden it went from intrinsic to extrinsic. So now I'm worried about what people are thinking. I'm worried about what people are saying about me. I'm on this roller coaster of when I'm winning, I'm losing, I'm winning, I'm losing, versus 1 and 7 where I'm winning, I'm learning, I'm winning, I'm learning. And that mindset shift takes a lot of trust and love and joy. And I robbed myself of the joy of those 5 world titles in between the two because I didn't trust in joy. I trusted in fear, and I trusted in pain, and I trusted in struggle.
So
and now in my 50s,
I had that in the second cooling out of gold.
Oh, yeah.
I rocked up to the first one, not expecting to win. No one thought I would. 40 to 1 odds, and I got across the line. And it was the greatest feeling because I'm like, there was no expectation. I didn't feel like I had to do it for any reason other than I just went out there and did it. The next year, because I was defending the mountain, I went into fear.
Yeah.
And I went into worry and concern, and I raced scared. I got up because of the process that I did leading into it and the workload I did, but it was a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
And so the
it
5 years.
So the win wasn't as satisfying?
No, so I literally just thought back to it then based on what you said for the 5 world titles that you won, that people would be thinking from the outside looking in that, fuck, how good's Layne Beachley's life? She's like the world champion,
Yeah.
right? But you're just going inside, it's not enough.
No.
I'm not feeling like I should.
Yeah.
And I had the same feeling with the second. I was
Wow.
like, it was just fear the whole time. And
But you
it
still
took me
won.
6 months to get out of it though.
Yeah.
So 6 months of me saying to myself, no one cares whether you win or lose, just you.
Yeah.
You've got to go and snap out of this because you're not having fun doing what you're doing. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting that you can do some amazing things, but mentally you can be tortured
Yeah.
all in the same breath.
Yeah.
Leech, I'm going to move into the longevity part of the conversation. But
Since we are on the longevity lounge.
You're on the lounge.
You're on the
Kids,
lounge.
you're on the lounge.
Oh, dear.
So it must
It's
be,
great to have you on board.
Thanks, Leechy.
must be a challenge for you, Leech.
So I said board then, board.
I heard the
Yeah.
I
See
heard
what
the
he did
gag.
with that?
We heard the gag. So, I mean,
totally funny.
Layne's won
Don't try.
multiple world titles in a sport that more than 3 or 4 people do. I mean, you beat Trevor Hendy and, I don't know, once. Maybe I'm not even too sure. But let's just focus on Layne for a time.
Who's cleverer though? I picked a sport where there was less people doing it. Yeah.
You tell yourself whatever you need to.
Right.
So,
Whatever you need, yeah.
so
I feel
Layne,
like good now about it.
wind the clock forward, okay? So not everyone had that inspiration and motivation from when they were 5 or 6 to be the world's best, or even just to be great at something. You know, a lot of people roll through life in a sort of they would probably say a well-adjusted manner without that striving mentality. And they're now in their later years, so they're 50 plus. What advice have you got? Like, what have you done? How have you transitioned from that laser focus from performance into longevity, vitality, enjoying being younger longer?
Self-awareness,
Okay.
listening. The body whispers before it screams. And
That's a good one.
You like that one? You can use that, Leechy.
Wow.
Don't let him use
You've
it.
stolen it from someone
You
else,
can't use
surely.
that.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, you can have it.
I've never heard it before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a first for every day is a first. So if we think about the body whispering before it screams, what are you ignoring in the pursuit of success? And I ignored so much that now I'm paying the price.
So is that relevant? When you say to the body, you're talking about to the mind as well. What are you saying to yourself?
Yes.
What's your reality, and whether it's real or not, whether it's helpful or not?
Yeah, because our lives are a direct reflection of what we believe to be true. So sometimes we don't know what our beliefs are. Well, you can just have a look at your life. Your life is a direct reflection of that. So if there's aspects of your life that aren't functioning, that aren't working, that are falling apart or are compromised, then that's a reflection of your belief system. So longevity comes with the self-awareness to just stop and listen. Because if we're just pushing and striving and persevering and going after something, then every time you're going after something, you're willing to let go of something else. So what are you letting go of, and what price is there to pay? At what cost is that going to come with? And then at the end of the day, the only thing you have is your mind and your body. So are you compromising or sacrificing that to achieve something outside of yourself that you think is going to give you that level of fulfillment and joy and happiness? I mean, we saw that with Andre Agassi. One of the best books I've ever read is Open.
Yeah, I read that one.
Yeah.
He hated tennis.
Yeah, well, he's standing there in that hotel room in Germany, looking down at everyone, thinking they've all got their lives together, and my life sucks. I hate my life. So
he was going bald too.
Yeah, well, he was already. Yeah,
You are too.
wearing a wig.
Please.
That's a wig, isn't it?
Are we filming this? Have a
It's a merkin. I think that's
It's a merkin.
I think that's a pubic wig.
I don't even know what a
from all
merkin.
accounts.
Never even heard of a merkin.
I think it needs some colour.
You've made up that word.
Grey's coming through.
Well,
It's unusual. I haven't seen grey in your hair before.
I am 60.
I know. You look good. That's why we're still friends.
Got a question.
Yes. So that's where I think that's where for people at any age, I feel that if they're going to experience longevity, not only in their careers but in their lives, it starts with the awareness.
So just on that, there's a statistic that talks about self-awareness.
Oh, there's there.
So it's
Share
over-indexed generally. So most people say that 85% of people say that they are quite self-aware.
Oh,
when
really?
you do the investigation into the levels of awareness, it's more like 15%.
Right.
So people are really kidding themselves. It's that hack. How do we help sort of shatter the facade and help them understand what's actually real for them? I mean, it's one thing. You seem to be at the bleeding edge of your existence with your sport and the way you interact, and there's some privilege associated with that because of both of you actually, and because of who you are and what you've done. For the average schmo who's been working on the clock for the man, they don't get a lot of time to go, hang on a minute, let me just stop. Who am I?
Well, I'd like to challenge that because they have the time, they don't make the time.
Great.
We all have the same amount of time in the day, but how we utilise it. And that brings me to just a thought. On Monday, I mean, I work for myself. I have my own business, Awake Academy. I'm a director of Urban Surf. I have a lot on.
Right.
But I too can fall into that trap. And on Monday, I realised I'd been sitting at the computer for several hours. I hadn't really taken a break. And so I thought, I'm just going to go to the kitchen, grab myself a cup of tea, and then I'll come back to the office. And I was on my way back to the office and the sun was shining and it was such a beautiful day. And I was like, I really wish I had the time to sit in the sun. It's like, who am I fucking kidding? Yep. I've got the time to sit in the sun. Go and sit in the sun. Yeah. It's just that I can keep thinking about all the things I need to be doing. And then
that's the trap, right?
That's the trap.
That's what we do.
Yeah. That's the mouse trap. Otherwise, I go, actually, you know what? I know the last time I sat in the sun for 5 minutes and prioritised myself, I came back feeling more clear, more productive, more purposeful, and that actually enables me to do better work. So I took 5 minutes out, gave myself permission
and that's
to take
awareness,
the time,
right?
and that's awareness.
Yeah. I think that point that you make, if you put it into a Buddhist context, they talk about habitual conceptualization, that we live in that future or we ruminate in the past.
Yeah.
And just the point about being present and aware is that realization that you just had moving from making the cup of tea into the thing that you're running towards. That's that catalyst. It's that key point that I think most of us miss because we're on that activity train.
We're in the habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you got to say about that?
Well, nothing on that. But
I just love that you both just went like that.
Yeah.
Well, because he did it and I thought, here we go.
No, this was a test to see whether he'd follow me, and he does.
Follow you?
Oh, he copies. Now, Gidge, I want to know
exhausting.
this. Can you be?
Isn't it?
Can you be a world champion?
Yeah, I can.
And
I've proven that.
As can
I've got
I,
a trophy room.
As can I. And
you've got a trophy wall
in multiple sports. And also, can you be balanced through your whole life? So can someone, when we talk about awareness, when we talk about like having social interaction and staying healthy and having good mental health and all the compartments that go into to life, can you be a world champion and be balanced across everything else? Because for me, I couldn't do it.
No?
I was like all in on competing and training and competing, and other areas of my life suffered because of it. And it's much easier for me now, being retired, to be able to give it more thought and actually be able to give more time across all areas.
I feel that if you can find a life outside of your pursuit, then that's what brings balance.
But then can you win a world title doing that though?
Absolutely. It's necessary that you find life outside of your pursuit.
So, but from 2 to 6 world titles, you weren't doing that, were you?
I did. I started doing it in world title number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started realising I need a break. I'm burning out.
Okay.
And that's what prevents burnout, is actually these micro recoveries, these moments where you go, actually, I need to go and reset. It's like over Christmas, we all come back feeling refreshed. It's because we've actually taken a break. So I think what we need to actually ascertain is, what does the interpretation of balance mean to each individual? Because there's nothing wrong with being focused and driven to succeed in a professional career, but what is wrong is what are you ignoring in the pursuit of that, or what are you compromising or sabotaging, and also what are you relying on to achieve that? Are you relying on stimulants and sedatives? Are you relying on this false narrative of either fear or ego to drive you? Like, what are you relying on, and how sustainable is that model? That's what you need to start considering when it comes to achieving success, because as we both know, it does take that real drive and focus and discipline. And we know that when you're focused on achieving a world title, for example, or becoming a CEO or landing a big project or whatever it is that everyone's working on, it does take an enormous amount of commitment, and you are ultimately sacrificing something else that means something to you. So how do you then reestablish connection with that something else to ensure that something else doesn't completely disappear from your life?
That leads me to discipline.
Yes.
I imagine for both of you that you have to be very disciplined to do that, because you'll fall down a rabbit hole, or you'll get on an off ramp somewhere.
Yeah, and lose friends, lose family.
Yeah.
Yeah, things break down.
Yeah. And so what is it that keeps your discipline where it needs to be?
My dream team. So I don't always have the discipline, and that's when I rely on my dream team to bring that out in me. I don't know if Leechy's told the story about my 6th world title, when I lost the discipline and I lost my mojo. And
not on camera.
No, and so Leechy walked into my house one afternoon and said, "Gidgey, pull your head out of your ass. Like, I'm worried about you, because your goal is here, but your behaviours are here. So you've got a choice to make right now. You can get out of your own way and get the job done, or you can quit and regret it for the rest of your life." And I wanted to punch him in the face, but actually I said,
it was multiple times. But it was a moment where I felt that I needed to speak up, because I knew what it would take to win a world title, and you could still win a world title that year if you went back to the behaviours that you needed to do. And I turned up because I was frustrated, because I was helping you that year with what you're doing, and I felt like you were missing an opportunity that was there in front of you to grab, and I remember saying to you that you'd earned the right, after winning 4 in a row, or whatever, 5 in a row, that the opposition were nearly going to lay down if you just did enough work. You didn't have to go and do overs, but you did enough work in the water and some other stuff to just finish the year off, and you'd win another one. If you're not going to do that, commit to that, well, then get the fuck out, because you're wasting your time. You're not going to win, and you may as well just retire now. And that was the conversation we had. And
it was sound counsel.
It was a bit, and I was angry. I was angry because I knew what she needed to do, and we blew up at each other, and and then the next day it was all good.
It was on again. But today, one of my dream team is my husband, for example. So when I retired from pro surfing, I lost that sense of direction and structure and belonging and community, and so I kept saying yes to everything and everyone, and by doing that I was compromising my health and well-being. I was compromising my marriage. And one afternoon my husband looked at me and said, "Why do I always get the broken lane?" So that was a handbrake. Okay, shit, I got to do something. This is not right. So when your dream team members start to, I also refer to them as honesty barometers or accountability partners, when they just put you up and hold a mirror to you, like, this isn't right.
But it's hard to say something to Layne Beachley, right? So unless
Well,
you know,
not
unless you've
really.
grown, well, it is for people that don't know. Like,
Yeah,
so
if you don't know me,
if you don't know
yeah.
you well enough,
Yeah.
because
Well, yeah.
you know there's a persona, right? And
But that's why I refer to my dream team.
Yeah.
You know, you've got this. I know I have this team of people around me that hold me accountable, celebrate me, elevate me, but also hold me very accountable and say,
because
you know what,
you're like a caricature in some ways. I look at I don't personally, because we grew up together, right?
Yeah.
You're like my little sister, but in saying that, like you turn on, as an example, you turn on State of Origin this week, and there you are running out with the ball
Yeah.
for the game, right? So
Yeah.
not a usual circumstance for most people, right? So you're running out in front of 100,000 people
Yeah.
to go and deliver the ball
Yeah.
for the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't go well after 6 minutes when one of
after
ours
8
got
minutes,
sent off.
that was a bad call too.
But in saying that, like for other people, like there's only so many people in your world that can actually pull you aside and say, "Nah, kids, you can't.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing that."
That's right. And that's when you've got to have the self-awareness to pull yourself up as well and go, okay, things aren't working. My body's unstable, or my health's compromised, or my relationship's out of balance. You know, there's just sometimes, and that's what we help people do with Awake Academy. Like with my course, we help people define who they are and what they want, because you can't actually manifest what you want until you know who you are.
Can we go to that? Because I think that's really interesting. I've watched you I've lived in Sydney for 25 years, so I'd see the Layne running to the poles at DY to surf,
yeah.
and then I'd see the Layne walking back peacefully from the pole. So it was very clear your frame of mind or the impact that had for you. Has
It's a
that
very
been
good observation.
Well? You just look so peaceful.
Were you sunbaking oiled up?
Actually, I was.
Right there in the middle of the
No,
beach?
I didn't. As opposed to you, I didn't do underpants Olympics in the 80s,
Right,
which is sort of.
I had a physique that managed the undies fine. Yeah,
Yes, you rarely wore a shirt.
yeah really.
I'm surprised you're in one today.
It's a little
actually.
cool in
We're
here.
all
Just
happy
quietly.
he's wearing one right now.
Yeah.
So into what you're doing now.
Yes.
So you've had such an interesting career, interesting life, interesting journey, and then the Awake Academy now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's a self-empowerment platform to cultivate connection, growth and happiness in humanity. So over the last few years, we launched in COVID, and over the last few years we've worked with some amazing people, individuals, and some amazing corporations like Coles and Officeworks and Colonial First State, for example, and we're transforming teams to become more centered, connected and confident. We help people get out of their own way. It's all the life lessons that I learned as a
Yeah, it
professional
sounds like
athlete.
you putting a platform together for others.
It is, yeah. All the things that I learned from, addressing my emotions and becoming more self-aware and self-regulating, understanding the stories and learning how to flip them, establishing my I am mantra, being really clear about what my expectations and intentions are, creating boundaries, learning how to celebrate success because that anchors success, learning how to celebrate failure. I wish I learnt that earlier in my career. And then establishing this program, which I called the 7 Doctors program, which is also having transformational effects. And these are really simple things that I use on a day-to-day basis to help regulate myself. So it's water, exercise, sunshine, laughter, rest, journaling, and a healthy diet. And with those 7 things,
they're great.
they're really
great
simple
points.
and applicable tools to help people not only become healthier and more vital, but prolong their quality of life. So Awake Academy is multifaceted, but it's a program that I'm incredibly passionate about and thoroughly enjoy doing. Awakening others awakens me. Essentially, we're helping people to help themselves.
And what's the format? How do people?
So it's either a self-paced course, it's a 7-round online self-paced course, or we also deliver it in as either a 4-week program or a full-day program.
So you can do face-to-face as well as do it online.
We're actually hosting an all-men's event this coming Friday week today week at the Boathouse in Manly, at Manly Pavilion.
Yep.
And because we want to help men be better. We want to help men be more present. We want to help men learn how to enjoy the benefits of slowing down without losing that sense of productivity. Where we're certainly not addressing masculinity, we're actually encouraging men just to be more self-aware and then more productive and happier and healthier human beings. You know, we want to break that really negative fear-based cycle that a lot of men live by. So it's either self-paced or it's delivered through corporations or public live events.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what you do now. So, like, give me a week of Layne Beachley when you're at home, what you do
man.
as far as
Every week's different.
wanting to, like, so what are the constants that you do, like around
Surf.
exercise, movement? Yeah.
Oh, yes. How do I take
nutrition,
care of myself?
Your
Yeah.
mind. So what are some of the, like, you know what you used to do for surfing and competing and what your program was. What are the constants? It doesn't matter whether you're in Melbourne like you were yesterday. There'd be certain things that you do that are constants in your life. And like for me personally, I don't care whether I live to 100, but I care that I want to live a long time and still be able to do all the things I can do now.
Yep.
I want to remember your name, the past. I want to be able to go and paddle a ski, play golf and have a laugh, right?
Yes, yeah.
So they're things, and I need to do certain things today to be able to do that in the future.
Yep.
What's your rules?
So if I work through my 7 doctors, for example, I drink at least 2 to 3 litres of water a day. I'm always carrying around a water bottle. Trust your thirst. It's there for a reason. The second thing, exercise. I do move my body a lot. I like to, and I have an all or something mentality about it. So I love to surf, but if I don't have the time to surf, then I'll do at least 10 minutes of yoga or go for a swim or take the stairs instead of the escalators, take stairs 2 at a time to help keep building muscle strength and mobility in my legs. Just constantly moving.
I've seen you've done exercise training programs on the beach, land stuff.
Yep, yeah. So I'll do whatever. But I'm thinking also about the common man or common woman, the common person who's working for the man who doesn't have the time. What are some really applicable things that they can do to help prolong their quality of life? And drinking water is the number one. Moving their body. So maybe riding a bike, or I think, and e-bikes have been a fantastic invention for people over 50, keeping people active and moving and keeping them outside.
'Cause you can still do stuff, even get a break, but then ride again.
Yeah.
What about food? You've always been good with your food too.
So
Food, you've been
one of the
great.
things that Kirk and I have done for a decade is the 5-2 diet. So we do 2 days a week where we have a fast day, and we schedule our weeks by our fast days. So I was in Melbourne yesterday and I knew I was going to be on all day, so I didn't want to do a fast day. We usually do Mondays and Thursdays, so today's a fast day. So what that means is a 400 or 350 calorie smoothie in the morning at about 8 o'clock, and then a 400 to 500 calorie dinner at about 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And nothing throughout
gap
the
the
day.
day, like
gap
nothing
the
during
day.
the day. Just
And
water.
just water or herbal teas. And that has had a profound impact on our quality of life. And that's
And Kirk looks great. Like for a rock
65.
star that we all have grown up with in excess. I mean, the best thing's happened to him is actually being with you because you've brought in that health and balance side to him. And, we were hanging out the other day and he's just a vision of health.
He is. He looks really good.
He does,
and because he prioritises his health and well-being. He's an unusual guy. If he's feeling a little ailment, he'll go to the doctor. Fortunately, he stayed on top of his PSA readings through his blood tests, and he ended up with prostate cancer. They got it quick. They got it early. They were able to remove it. And fortunately, the cancer was contained to the prostate. So men need to start taking better care of themselves through just simple little acts like that.
Yeah.
With rest, I do meditation every day, or a little bit of journaling, or 5 minutes in the sun with a cup of tea. My diet is also really good. I having chronic fatigue twice. I don't do dairy. I don't do red meat. I stay predominantly off gluten and yeast. So that's been a real beneficial thing for my life. Yep. Another thing around diet also is that I've decided this year that every month that has 30 days in it, I do alcohol-free. So
how many months are there?
Well, April, June, November and September. So there's 4 months.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So I do
That's interesting.
4 months a year where I just have alcohol free.
You gap those ones with no alcohol.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I've just I'm sampling it, and I'm actually really enjoying that. I'm enjoying the health benefits of that. I'm not an excessive drinker, but I'm just enjoying not relying on alcohol to sedate me at the end of a long day, or to numb the pain, or to numb myself. I actually quite like being cognitive clear and functioning properly. What else? Yeah, rest is meditation.
You're good socially too. Like you've got your friends, your
you've got
network.
a good friend network. Yeah, sunshine. I get that.
Yeah.
Occupational hazard.
Pick up on that, mate.
That's fake, champ.
No. Laughter. Bring a lot more laughter into my life. I like, the average adult only lasts 14 times a day. The average child lasts 400 times a day. So,
Wow.
There you go.
yeah, we
Another
need
stat. Look at that. She's got some.
So we need to bring more laughter into our lives. I love to laugh.
Yeah,
I love to make people laugh. I
You,
love
do,
to.
you like to put shit on me too.
Well, that's too easy.
It
So-
really is too easy.
Yeah. And then journaling.
And tell us about journaling.
Writing my pains away.
Do you like the journaling? Did you do that during your career?
I did,
with
every
goal
day.
setting? Because I did it as well.
I didn't do it as
log
goal
books.
setting.
Coaches
Yeah,
had
you
log
had your
books.
logbooks. Yeah,
More
I didn't have
structured.
logbooks.
Okay.
I would write down all the shit that happened in the day,
Yeah,
and
right.
my frustrations, my
The
angers,
good stuff too.
my successes,
Yeah.
the joys of winning.
So there's a lot of there's data on that too, isn't it? That journaling's a really good thing, and
We'll
you
get to
are the
that.
professor, so you
Yes.
probably could grab something. You could even make it up. It doesn't
We'll
matter.
get to that in the synopsis.
Yeah, we're laughing.
Yeah.
That's one of the 14.
Now, I'd love to stay talking to Layne all day. Obviously,
Or
this
as,
is more
as
like
she's known as 7 times.
more like a catch-up between two old friends.
Yes.
Layne, just to finish the interview or the conversation, some advice, one piece of advice for those people who don't have the 7, don't have the discipline to have 7 things. If they could do one thing well, what is that as they age and move into that sort of longevity phase?
Oh, the other things I do is ice baths and infrared saunas,
You do the
and
recovery.
massage, and do the recovery, acupuncture. I do a lot of things.
Now, you're a longevity legend. That's why we got you.
That's
here.
right.
The one thing that the piece of advice I would give to people is learn to breathe properly.
Wow. We're going to do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, learn to breathe properly because that really impacts the quality of your life, and we take it for granted.
If you're not a nasal breather when you sleep at night, you've got some serious problems.
You're leading towards dementia and all sorts of
heart issues.
Heart issues, yeah. So learn to breathe properly, and that's as simple as closing your lips together, putting your teeth together, putting your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and breathing in for 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Simple things.
And it's a.
Have you read Breath
I have.
by James Nestor?
I have.
Yeah, so love it.
Yeah.
But that would be my one piece of advice, because we've all got the time to do that.
We do.
And it's a good start, right?
It's a great
Leads
start.
into other things.
Simple things, and it
Yeah.
actually creates an element of self-awareness, and it slows everything down for a moment, gets us out of that future thinking, past thinking, brings us to this moment in time, and which then helps us create clarity, which then creates certainty of action, which then makes us feel more in control of our lives.
Look, on that note,
On that note, that's what a terrific conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Fascinating.
thank you, Gidgy. We'll see you down the beach.
Thank you, Leechy. I'll see you at the beach. I might give you a wave. As like that.
See you later.
Bye, Leechy.
And
See you
we're
in the
out.
water.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.